Welcome to Kidmin Backstage, the place where we talk about kids ministry and take a peek behind the scenes. We try to share a little bit of what we've learned that works for us and some of our failures so you can avoid them. We release a new episode every Friday, and this is your Backstage Pass to see the magic or disaster that happens behind the scenes of our kids ministry. I'm your host, Gabe Baker, and today I am joined by Brother Brent Wilson.
I'm here.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Over there adjusting the
stuff.
cords.
Yeah,
and stuff,
I was like,
all
wait
that noise.
Yeah. Whoops.
So I'm decided to keep my suit on from Sunday school today. So for those who are on video, I'm in my news themed suit. And so it has somewhere on here. Oh yeah, right here. Bigfoot is blurry, and then it says something like there's a large out-of-focus monster roaming the countryside.
Some of them are, there's some good ones on there.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But anyway, so when we sat down, you kind of wanted to just be Gary Gazette, the main host.
That's right. Welcome to the show, folks. I'm Gary. I'm your host, Gary Gazette.
All right, well, it might not fit with our current theme, but what's the title today? What are we talking about?
Today's title is going to be Sword Fights and Sermons.
Sword Fights and Sermons. That's a fun title.
Yeah.
So I think about the stories you still remember from childhood. The playground showdown, the coach's halftime speech, the moment someone stood up and changed the tone in the room. So those moments, they stick because they carry tension, they carry meaning, they carry direction. And so most messages, I wrote this down in the preamble here, or the intro, most messages don't fail because they're wrong. They fade because they're forgettable. The issue isn't always attention spans. We talk about that a lot in Sunday school.
Yes, we do.
But it's not always attention spans. It's how the messages are delivered.
Right. That is true. I know you're good at getting the storytelling stuff and to capture the kids' attention quite a bit there.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of different characters that do that. So outside of the story or the lesson, we have a lot of characters that capture kids' attention.
Well, it's funny, our backdrop right now that we have for our news theme, you're on there, and then Brennan is on there as the two kind of you're the protagonist and he's the antagonist.
Yeah.
And you're bigger than life because it's like
quite literally
that from stage to that top there is like 7 feet, but it's like from your waist up and you're all the way that whole thing. And so, but that character, we did this theme, a short theme, in 2024, 2 years ago. And it was towards the beginning of the year, too.
Wow.
And it was a very short theme. It was during a transition.
Yeah.
And so the kids still remembered it, though.
That's crazy.
And when they came in, when we first put it up, it was like a surprise, you know. And they came in, they were like, Gary Gazette, that's Gary Gazette.
Someone was asking me today, actually, who were you in Sunday school? And I'm like, just ask the kids.
Yeah, just ask the kids.
Like, I was just Gary. They're like, Gary? I'm like,
well, and then, of course, we had the one boy that dressed up like you last time we did it. That was so cool. He came to church like dressed, because you have like a tweed jacket.
Yeah, kind of like a tweed suit thing going on.
Yeah, that was so funny. But yeah, I think, a lot of times there's a debate, and I'm not like the authority on this at all, but there's a debate about, like, with books like fiction, on the focus being the plot or the focus being the characters. There's at least I've heard this anyway, and like some people argue that plot completely drives the story. Other people argue that the character makeup drives the story.
Yeah.
And so
that's
obviously you want a balance of the two, but it is one thing that's cool about, like, with Sunday school characters, I try to do I think the technical term is broad characters, meaning that the characters are like kind of over the top.
Right.
Like caricature?
Yes.
Like when they draw something and like your glasses might be really big or something.
Right. There's generally like a specific
something that,
specific that they
kind of stands out a little bit and they really enhance it. Like my nose is kind of long. They would make it really long.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
And so with our characters in Sunday school, I often talk about subtleties are lost on kids. And so our characters in Sunday school, it's like they're really obvious.
Yes.
They're a caricature. They're really obvious of what
giant pencil for my note taking.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's a good example.
Gary has.
Yeah, he's got that giant pencil. Well, that was funny today when you were standing in the window where they could see, because we don't have our banner up. They could see you, and you right, and they could probably see the big pencil from that far away.
I think someone was filming. I don't remember who.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone had a camera. I think one of the staff members.
We'll have to get that. That's awesome.
I think it was one of them. I remember seeing someone had a camera, but
that's funny.
Or their phone camera. They had their phone.
They had their phone. Yeah. They pulled out their camera. Yeah. So okay. Well, anyway. Having said all of that, that's kind of what we're talking about today. The sword fights and sermons is capturing that attention. We're always talking about capturing that attention, and there's a reason why, is so that we can lead them to the altar. You know, so that's obviously the objective. And our last podcast we kind of talked a lot about that, and so now I guess we're almost going to the flip side. We're talking about that attention and the fun and everything, and that we're trying to do that.
Mm-hmm. Easier said than done.
Yes. Yeah, and so our first point here is attention is earned before it's taught. And so when the kids are invested, like whether it's funny or even if it's emotional, whatever, when they're invested, they're going to pay attention. That phrase we use all the time. So they're going to pay attention. So now you can teach the truths, in the lesson and whatever.
Yes, that is, again, we've said that easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I think it can be a weekly struggle trying to do that, because, some kids this week are honed in on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Some aren't.
Yeah.
And it flips the next week. It's like,
you got theirs.
And now someone else is. Yeah. And even with just the different segments that we do, mm-hmm. Some are into it, some aren't. It's a battle.
Yeah, it's a battle.
We'll say it's a battle.
I think one of the biggest things, though, is for I think, like, for the staff to pay attention. But I think for the staff to see, to notice where they're at. Mm-hmm. In the story or whatever. So, like you mentioned earlier that I do fairly well on the Bible stories. I can typically tell a Bible story without actors or costumes. I can typically tell a Bible story, and probably our segments are really short, but I could probably do a Bible story for a good 15 minutes and have everybody's attention. Mm-hmm. But part of it is maybe I've started reading when I was pretty young, and I read a lot, and I've always loved stories from the time I was a kid. So part of it is maybe just that natural, liking the stories and being into it and knowing what I liked when I was a kid. But also some of it is I can watch and I can realize when I'm starting to lose them, and I can shift direction. And sometimes it's subtle when I shift direction. And it's like I realize, okay, I'm spending too much on the details of, how short Zacchaeus is or whatever, And so I'm spending too much time there, so now it's time to shift. I need to talk about another element of the story or whatever. And then sometimes it's more overt, I taught a lesson a long time ago, and I talked about hand grenades. And those are like these things that you can do to grab the attention, and those are more explosive. pun intended. Those are more explosive and overt. They're really obvious. And so it's things like you're telling a story, and then all of a sudden you grab a sword and you pick it up. And then now you have all their attention. It doesn't even matter what you do with it. You've now captured at least another 30 seconds of attention.
Picked up a sword.
You just have it. Happen? Yeah, what's going to happen? And actually, just to come to a practical tip, if you come out and you are going to teach something, now it is best if you're going to do something with it, but if you come out, you can have a Kleenex box in your hand. And if you come out with something in your hand and you're just talking, you don't address it, and you're just talking, that now there's a time, there's a clock on it,
right?
but that garners you some attention right out of the gates. This is what adults do, because everybody wonders, what's he going to do with the Kleenex box? Is there something in it? Is he going to blow his nose? Is he going to throw it?
With the Kleenex? Yeah, no, that's good. That's
yeah.
good.
And so it's a practical tip, but don't take it too far.
Yeah,
that only gives you
that might buy
so
you
much.
30 seconds. That might buy you 3 minutes.
Yeah, depending.
Or depending on the kid, depending on what else you're talking about,
and maybe depending on the object. Yeah.
Kleenex box. Yeah, we'll give it 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Sword, 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like a big box that might be empty, but nobody knows what's in it.
Yeah,
that probably gets you at least a couple minutes, because like what's in it.
You can draw that out. Just first, like you said, it's there. Kids see it, focus on it, like what's in the box. Da, da, da. Then you can kind of slowly look at it.
Yeah,
and just kind of use that, as a ploy to keep their attention. Like, oh, okay, all right. Well, we're just gonna leave this here for now, and we'll come back to this.
We should do that next week. That'd be fun.
Yep. We have to.
And then at the end, we could rip it out. Oh, it's breaking news.
Put something in there that'll move the box. Get a remote control car or something.
Or a phone.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Well, that's for later. We'll save that.
Yeah. So anyway, so I put in this emotion opens the door, and I remember. Okay, I'll tell an example. I just thought of this right now, and we're just barely started, but we're already halfway into our time almost. But I remember a long time ago, we had a preacher here, and he was young, and so I was spending time with him, taking him out and whatever. So we went and spent like the whole day together, and we went to the bookstore as one of our stops. And he was like really intelligent, and the way he preached was really like smart, kind of. I mean, he was a good preacher, but it was like you could tell, he was studied.
You could tell.
Yeah,
exactly.
But he was a young guy, and so we had browsed a little bit at the bookstore, and then he bought a couple books or a book or something, and it was something to do with the Amazon, and it was like this woman tribe of the Amazons or something. So I was asking about it, and then I realized I looked at it and it was fiction, and I was kind of shocked actually, because I still might read fiction. I haven't read fiction in a long time, but I still might read it once in a while because I do enjoy it.
Yep.
But I started reading a lot of nonfiction when I was pretty young, and so the bulk of the books that I read are nonfiction. So I thought for sure that would be the case with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was fiction. And so I don't feel this way now, but I almost felt like it was a waste of time. Like why would he be doing that? And so I asked him about it. I was like, well, those are fiction books? And he told me something I'll never forget. He said he knew something about the author a little bit. And he said, yes, they are fiction, but they're all based on true historical facts. But they're fictional stories. Like there might be some kind of love story in the middle of it or whatever. They're all fictional stories, but the surroundings, everything that happened in the Amazon and with these tribes is all factual based. It's based on research.
Yeah.
And he said the reason he enjoyed it, but also the reason that he did that, he said it's easier to learn things in story format. That's good. And I was like, that was incredible to me. I went through a phase many, many years ago where I was reading all about like special forces, Navy SEALs and Delta Force, all these things. Yep. It was really cool to me, to read about these guys. And I remember I had stacks of books, and I remember you could see a difference. There were some books that were very accurate, and they would have dates in them. Like 1973 dropped in here and da-da-da-da. And then there were some books that were totally story. And a lot of times, at least back then, there was always debate, like, how much of that is really true. It's written as nonfiction, but it's not really all of that. And so I remember making purchases based on like, oh, well, this one's supposed to be really true. And then finding that it was so boring.
Right.
Because it was just so factual.
Too much facts, not enough story.
Yeah. And so that's, yeah, and that stuck with me. And so I think that in Sunday school, we have to remember that. We want the kids to learn the facts. We want them to know, about these Bible characters, who was Lazarus and all of that. But if we tell the story of it, it sticks in our mind so much stronger.
Yeah. The Zacchaeus comes to mind because we just did that.
Yeah.
That could have been and I didn't hear was it you who did lesson? I can't remember now because I was in the back. I don't know who did lesson, but.
It was me and Miles. We talked about labels. Okay. And then he came up for altar. It was kind of cool. So I put all these labels on it.
Oh, that's right. I
had a boy come up.
Yeah, I forgot.
I had a boy come up on the platform and I labeled him and I asked the kids for responses. So he's like dumb and he's sinner
short,
and all this.
Short,
so he had all these labels, and then I was like, people put labels on us and we start to believe them and we start to act out that way. But then when Jesus comes in the room and I turn it over to Miles, not as Jesus necessarily, but I turned it over to Miles for altar call, and then I told the boy to stay up there. And then Miles began taking the labels off. He's like, Jesus takes our labels off. It was good.
Yeah, that is good. That is good.
Things like that stick with the kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's a story that, again, it's Zacchaeus. It's not like he's. Oh, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like
he's not like David.
Yeah. It's not like David or Daniel or somebody. It's Zacchaeus. Oh, he's a wee little man.
Yeah,
a wee little man was he. That's what sticks out. It's
exactly.
a song about him. He's just a short little guy, and no one liked him. Climbed up a tree.
Have you ever seen the Skit Guys or Joey and I did it too? But about that song.
I don't know if
I have.
It's
so funny. It's. The one is I'm digressing, but the one is the Sunday school teacher, and he's like, okay, we're gonna sing this song, and it's a 3-part series they do on grace, and it's very good. So Brother Joey and I did this a few times at like a formal banquet, and so we would do one skit, and then a little bit later we'd do the next one. And it's one is Sunday school kids, the next one's a youth leader and his student, and then the next one's adults.
Okay.
And so anyway, but he's like, oh, I know Grace. She's in my class. He's like, no, we're talking about grace, like Jesus gives grace and all this. Well, then he's like, we're going to talk about Zacchaeus. And he says, Zacchaeus was a wee, and then the other one starts laughing, and it's so funny because he's like a little kid. He's like, you said wee. and then when he says a wee little man and a wee little man was he just really laughs. He's like, you said wee. And it's so funny. And then he says he climbed up the sycamore tree, he starts bawling, and he's like, the tree's getting sick.
Oh, no. That's funny.
And he's like, it's a sycamore tree. He's like, he's getting sicker by the minute. I don't know which one of them wrote it, but it is so good.
Oh.
But that coming back to that song though, the original song that you just mentioned, that's kind of an example of what we're talking about. Is like everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, or most people, they know that song, so that's how they know who Zacchaeus is.
Absolutely.
And so if we can create, like David and Goliath is such a famous story, and it's that visual, and it's the underdog story, but it's that visual, Jonah and the whale, or the big fish, whatever, but Jonah and the whale, all these things. We've done the story several times. I think I wrote an article about this, about Shamgar.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it. We just did it, I don't know, a couple months ago or a month
within
ago.
The last month ago. I think it was sometime in January. It was recent.
Okay, yeah. So anyway,
or it would have been a couple months ago when this comes out.
Yeah.
Depending on how that falls.
The first time I did that story in Sunday school, I remember, we embellish it. We do the whole thing. He hides his wife and kids in the house and all this. And one of the guys that was in Sunday school back then, he's like, I went and looked that up. There's only 2 scripture verses, and they're not together. They're scattered. Yep. That are about Shamgar. He's like, how did you get that? Well, one thing is I like, doing stuff like that, little known characters. But years ago, I was at a camp meeting. I think it might have been the camp meeting that I got the Holy Ghost at, actually. But I was at a camp meeting, and I don't even remember who the preacher was, but he preached about Shamgar. And he didn't even embellish it like we do, but he said like a couple phrases, and it stuck with me, the way that he said it. And it was not kid-friendly. I remember because he talked about the blood seeping out on the ground. And so, but he told that story, and I was, how old was I? 8, 9, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it stuck with me. And so then through the years, so that's another example, of it stuck with me all that time. And so now, like all of our Sunday school kids know who Shamgar is,
That's a huge one. I remember you did a lesson, taught, and used that as an example at I don't know the name of the conference or whatever we did down in California.
Oh yeah, the SCC Children's Ministry Conference.
4 years ago, I want to say
something like that.
4 years ago.
Did we do Shamgar?
Yeah.
Okay.
You talked on, or can't remember if you brought it up like in
one of my classes.
Yeah,
right?
how you can take, like you said, 2 verses and turn that into a Sunday school lesson theme.
Yeah.
That goes anywhere 3 minutes to 7 minutes depending on how long you want to act it out.
Yeah,
and what you
exactly.
want to do, right? And we generally, I'd say, it's probably about 9 minutes on that.
Yeah, we usually our Bible stories are something like that.
And
9 to 12,
I know we've done it probably, I'd say once a year since then, because I think we came back, we did it that Sunday. We did it. We acted out, told the story about it. It was like, oh, this is cool, and we've done it since. And now, and again, just from being part of Sunday school and doing that, it's like that stands out a lot more.
Yeah.
And when someone preached on it one time, and it was like, oh, and we had just done it that morning for Sunday school. This has been a couple years ago.
That's so cool when that happens.
And it was like, oh, this is funny. And I kind of want to look around and be like,
how many kids are paying attention?
How many kids are paying attention and going, I know what he's talking about,
Well, and that's part of our goal, is like, yes, we are teaching lessons every Sunday, but a huge part of what we do is Bible stories so that they know them.
Yep.
And then when they're preaching about it in church, they're like, oh, I know that story. I remember Shamgar. Yeah.
And I always try and elbow Kyra or my kids and be like, hey,
you paying attention?
You paying attention? That's Sunday school right there.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing is like I wrote kids remember pictures, not paragraphs. That's the same thing in this. The other thing that I think about though is, and we're not even on our notes here, but the other thing I thought about this is I was listening to a podcast, or I might have read something, but I believe it was Patrick Lencioni, and he was talking about that people will go to a movie and sit for 2 hours or whatever it is. Right. They'll go to a movie and they'll sit for 2 hours and they'll be invested in it. Like they won't fall asleep. They won't be bored. No. They'll be totally, fully invested. And they'll walk out of there feeling great. They'll feel like they're Batman or whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it has no bearing on their life. Now, we don't watch movies. He does, and so he was talking about that. And so I'm not even saying that in a negative sense, although, we know about movies and all that. But he was making a point. He said then people can come to the office and go to a 1-hour meeting and dread going to that meeting and hate sitting through that meeting, right? And we all can relate to that, right? And yet that meeting might have a major impact on their lives. Isn't that backwards?
That's funny.
And so what he was saying is, and I don't know, it'd be interesting to sit in on one of his meetings, because he said meetings should be like movies. He said the meeting, it actually does have an impact on your life. So make it interesting. Make it to where people want to be there and are invested.
Right.
And so that's where with Sunday school, now we have, obviously kids want to come to Sunday school and be a part. But I think we have like this responsibility, because as adults, we could kind of be objective and say, like, if we're mature enough, we can sit back and say, okay, should I go to this meeting or should I go to this movie?
Right.
Duh. Right? I need to go to the meeting. and we can sit back and objectively say, yes, this is going to impact my life, and this is just, candy. This is going to just entertain me. But kids, they, especially, we do 5 through 11, they don't have that ability. And so we have to answer that for them. And we have to be that objective party and say, okay, we want to impact their lives. And so we need to create that experience to where they are now interested and they want to come and see it.
Yes. And I think for the most part, we do that pretty good here.
Yeah.
And again, I always talk about my kids because, well, who am I around the most? And who do I hear from the most on
Right.
them? And they're always excited about Sunday school.
Yes.
Like yesterday, it's like, oh, tomorrow, getting ready for bed. Tomorrow's Sunday school, and like the excitement, like, and then
that's awesome.
The older one will be like, oh, I wonder what story it's going to be. Just that kind of enthusiasm, and it's like, yes,
that's
that's
good.
what we want, and they're young, so I hope that doesn't change too quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it can change as they get a little bit older. They're kind of that age group where it's like,
they get more mature.
Yeah,
and they're cool now.
You're a teen now almost, and it's like, oh, Sunday school's not as cool like it used to be.
Yeah,
like, no, it still is. It's just
still is. Yeah,
it's how you perceive it a little bit there.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about like interactivity. When we do interactive stuff, I always say kids on stage is a great way to engage because when the kids see other kids up there, that snaps, it grabs their attention. Even in like church, when a pastor, the preacher or whatever calls up somebody and they're like, "Oh, wait, who's that? What's going on?"
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
What's he going to make them do?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, even as an adult, I'm still like that. Oh, yeah, get him, pastor, get him. Yeah, make him sit down, make him lay on the ground.
Yeah, I think that there are things like I wish I probably should have listed some examples before we started because I can think of a few, but like that Shamgar story with that preacher where something has stuck with me because of how it was presented. And so when we can think of a principle that we're trying to teach, and then how do we make this to where it actually sticks with kids? And then my big thing, as you know, in practice, is how do we do it so the kids understand what is happening?
Yeah.
How do we explain this so they get it? Put it into kid terms, because kids don't get abstract. They don't understand it. And a lot of times the Bible, there are many things in the Bible that are abstract, foreshadowing and all of those things that we understand, but making sure the kids get why did this happen, or what is the lesson here? What is the real lesson?
Again, easier said than done sometimes trying to do that.
It is,
it's like,
yes.
Yeah, for us, it's in you have an age gap between 5 and
5 to 11.
11. It's like the older ones get it, the younger ones don't. What about the ones in between?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's finding a balance on that.
Yeah, the general rule in that, because people might ask, people have asked that at different conferences. The general rule is to target the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Target the oldest in the group that you're teaching and bring others up to that as much as you can. It's hard. Like you said, 5 through 11 is kind of a big gap. But if you, like the other extreme, is if you go to 5-year-olds, then the 11-year-olds are bored out of their mind.
Exactly.
Well, kind of, if you say, okay, well, let's target 8-year-olds. Well, it's kind of the same thing. The 11-year-olds are like, okay, I'm way too cool for this.
Yep. But if you get those older ones, and again, humans, what do? We're the young ones, they're looking up to the older ones. So if we're getting the older ones involved, we get them, through the story, through the lesson, everything, they're up front worshiping. Chances are there's going to be not everyone, because not everyone, but the younger ones are going to see that and follow.
Yeah, as a general rule, they're going to...
They follow. They see what the older, whether it's an older sibling or just older kids, and it's like, oh, they're praying, and I look up to them because they're older than me, they're bigger than me, whatever the case, be, and it's like, so then they just, so like you said, target's maybe not the right word, but target the older ones.
Target the older ones.
That's where your direction should be towards them.
Yeah, I think it's a better. There's probably, I'm sure there's, places where that doesn't work.
Right.
But
yes,
as a general rule. So yeah, I guess we kind of didn't get to some of those notes, but
little bullet points.
Yeah, so stories carry what statements can't. The goal isn't applause; it's alignment. And so, we're trying to.
I like that one. Repetition reinforces meaning.
Yeah.
We try and do that a fair amount when we're doing, repeating what.
Yeah,
we'll have a lesson or a theme. No, not a theme.
We have a lesson, but like what I've tried to do is almost like a tagline or something, like
the story that everything will be built around.
Yes.
I can't even think of anything else.
Like you are special.
Yeah.
That might be one, and so usually on our summary, we have like the phrase, the lesson phrase. What's today's lesson? You are special. And then we'll have a sub bullet point that explains it just a tiny bit more. It gives like a full sentence on it.
Exactly. And it'll have the...
Like, you matter to God no matter what. You're not too far gone.
You're not too small, Zach. Yes. You're still good. We can still use you.
Yeah. So when we can take like our different segments and attack that lesson from different angles, fresh ideas.
Repeating that. I've just seen that one. I was like, that's a good one.
Because sometimes, and I know we're over our time, but sometimes that impacts different kids different ways, right? And so sometimes the kids, I was going to mention, like Brother Phil Booker, they do object lessons like we do acting. They're really big on object lessons. And so when we do an object lesson, that's going to hit these kids a lot more than our acting, whereas these kids over here are going to like the acting better. And so the more ways we can hit that,
each one,
the better. Yeah.
This one gets it through this way, that one gets it through that way. Yeah. No, 100%. That's... Yeah. And then bring it on to the next one, which, like you said, we're over time, but the one clear takeaway beats 10 good ones.
Yes, exactly.
So...
Yeah.
Yeah, get them to remember that one thing, whether they got it through the memory verse, whether it was through the lesson or the story, the acting, they grab that one thing.
That one key element. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of like what we do on our review to try and emphasize,
Yeah, we try to emphasize the lesson.
We went through all this stuff for the past 45 minutes, half hour, whatever. Now we want you to really hone in and remember the lesson.
The memory verse and the...
hopefully they grab one of those.
Bible story. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.